Let's talk about the Players, which just wrapped up, and we had some really interesting weather. So we had some weather delays, we had things like that, but I'm watching it, and it was almost like one of those moments, like you can't look away. I had to watch everybody who was teeing off on 17, because when the wind was up, after the rain blew through, and they got that course dry, which we'll talk about, which is its own miracle. We had the wind really start to kick up, and it just seemed like almost nobody was hitting the green. So one thing that kind of stirred the pot, as he often does, Brandel Chambly tweeted, he said they should stop play. The 17th hole is unplayable. And you could see right in that graphic, if you're watching it, the immediate responses were, here's Eddie Pepperell saying, no, Brandel, they shouldn't. From where I sat, it's pure entertainment. And Mike, I know you had a similar take.
Yeah, I hopped in on that too. And I was saying how enjoyable it was, to watch. I think I said it was great for golf to see these guys struggle. And a lot of people said that. I mean, that was the common response. Like, no, let these guys struggle. We like to see them play golf like we do on the weekends.
Yeah.
And to my point, I was thinking, listen, they're all playing in the same conditions. No one is getting one advantage over the other guy.
Right.
It's windy for everybody. Now, granted, weather can change for a morning tee time versus an afternoon tee time. I get that. But still, they're all out there. I mean, JT was hitting 6-iron into 17, 137-yard shot. But at the same time, you got a guy like Billy Horschel, put it to 7 feet in the same conditions.
Billy Ho played that hole perfectly in that wind with a little knockdown shot.
And they all know how to play those knockdowns.
They do, but it was very unpredictable. The wind was kind of all over the place. So I'll leave it to you guys to say, what do you think? Ultimately, should they have halted play there? And at what point are the conditions unplayable? Right? Now, I would say that, if conditions become dangerous, sure. I think one thing that's indicates unplayable would be if balls are not coming to rest.
Correct.
Like if they're just blowing wildly around the green and you can't get a ball to come to rest, sure. But in this case, that was not happening.
It wasn't.
It was just very windy conditions, and I feel like that's golf. Golf is played in some extreme conditions at times.
Yeah, it was just windy on a course that had a lot of water that's very tight.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, we've seen unplayable conditions at places like Pebble Beach where the balls do not sit when they land, and the wind is whipping and the rain is whipping. I mean, I agree that if it's dangerous, if there's lightning, I think that's unplayable. But some heavy winds, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it sets a very weird precedent if they were to stop play there, because at what point it starts to this flowing of what's unplayable. In this case, the wind was gusting. I feel bad for a lot of the guys who hit that tee box at some of the toughest times. It just seemed like it was just hit it up in the air and just kind of hope.
Yeah.
You don't used to seeing, professional tour players missing the green as badly as some of them did. And there was a certain degree of it was starting to get even in their heads, and you could see that they were almost talked out of the shot before they hit it. But then, like I said, you saw a guy like Horschel come up there and knock it tight with confidence. So, just because I would say like about half of them were going in the water, I don't think that that's a reason alone. And it comes down to like what you were saying and what we saw Pepperell saying there is there's a point at which also this is largely it's entertainment. You know what I mean? The purse was the biggest it's ever been for the Players this year, $20 million purse. And that's largely because of the fact that there's such high viewership and sponsors who want to get those eyeballs.
Correct.
So if all of us are calling each other and saying, hey, you see what's going on in 17, turn it on if you're not watching right now.
Then it's great for golf.
It's good for visibility. It's good for golf.
It is, man. And I think on that day alone, I think it was that Saturday when play resumed at 11 a.m., what was it? Like, I think 29 balls on 17 alone went in the water. What was that stat? We got 868 balls in the water on 17 since 2003. So it's a hard hole as it is.
It is.
So when the wind picks up, it's even harder.
I think the most heartbreaking were the guys who were hitting the green and it was spinning back into the water.
Yes.
Those I think were the most heartbreaking.
Because it's, try to hit it a little long, because they were taking more club and relying on spin to bring it back.
Well, a lot of them were trying to take spin off of it because they saw them spinning back into the water.
Right. What about the guys who hit it low when they were going off the back? Like, you can't stop it.
Right.
I mean, it's tough. And then I think, I forgot the player, but they said, okay, so the 17 tee shot's the hardest shot. What's the second hardest shot in the course? And they said the drop zone on 17.
Yes.
Yeah, so
It didn't get any easier.
It did not get any easier.
I saw somebody, we'll talk about Kisner more in a second because he's always good for some great sound bites, but I saw they had asked him in the press what he felt like a 10 or 12 handicap, which is where we play, right, would score on 17. And I think he said they'd still be out there.
Yeah. That tells you everything about it.
It does. And under those conditions, it's just, and it's such an interesting spot of the golf course because it's so exposed to the wind. I loved how in the broadcast they were showing the wind on the tee box and then the wind at the green. And there was a big difference. And they actually showed how the winds would swirl and come in and just kind of hit that area with this huge gusting, swirling area. It's the course. And don't forget Pete Dye, like Pete Dye's not dumb. He designed it knowing that was going to be an open, exposed area, and that shot, that island shot, is not just there to take some great photogenic Instagram pictures. It's because it's difficult, and he knew he only had to play that thing 137 yards because it was going to be exposed in the wind.
Yeah, and it's that hole that, when you're coming down the stretch and you've got a lead or you're one shot off the lead, it's that hole that just lingers in your mind. You know it's coming. Yeah. But I want to ask you a question. Why is that hole so hard? Forget about the wind. Is it just because it's an island green? I feel like for these guys, it's a stock 137 to a big green, put it right in the middle.
Well, that's what I said. I think, nobody's better than Pete Dye at knowing and understanding the course and the obstacles and the different things that are going to be the hazards there. And I think he knew that based on that being in that little lake area and how exposed it was, there's no other trees. He knew there was going to be a wind. I think he knew that designing it, that it was going to be a tough shot. And beyond that, there's no margin for error because there's only, 6 inches of rough?
Right.
So you could tell that even a ball that came in a little bit too hot wouldn't get stopped by the rough and get rolled off. Most of them, if they didn't hang on by a prayer, they rolled right off. And then also the way that green is designed, almost that, not quite two-tier, but that sloping down. Yeah. It's designed that way that you have to have a great shot to not only hit it, but to hold that green.
And plus you got a lot of guys who will play that hole and go after a pin, and you got other guys who will bail and go for middle of the green.
Yeah.
And you saw on Sunday, I don't know if you got to see Cam's final shot on that hole, but he went for it like Ricky did.
Yeah.
And he put it, that's a scary pin location. That Sunday pin on the right side of that green, because any little bit of a miss right, it's gone.
It is a different shot, though, for these guys when the wind is down and it becomes predictable, because these guys can hit the shots that are predictable. When that wind is up and it becomes unpredictable, that's where there's a lot of that caddy talk of which club to hit, all that stuff. But speaking of conditions. So we had the massive rain that came through on Friday.
Yep.
And two things that was kind of interesting about that. One thing I don't like about it, I hate a Sunday finish because we all go back to, a Monday finish because we all go back to work and it's hard to watch it and we don't get to see it. And that's what I don't like. But it is what it is with the conditions. But two things with that rain delay. One, it was kind of cool getting to see the players and the little bit of a glimpse in their personal lives.
Yeah.
We got to see Rory being a dad. He felt like us, just absorbing a whole bunch of Frozen and Peppa Pig.
Yep.
I know that life, man.
Yep. That would be us right there.
Two young daughters at home, so do you. We know that life.
Yep.
And then you had
Homer. He wanted to go see Batman the movie.
Yeah.
He's just chilling. He's just chilling, eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Peanut butter and jelly
just
sandwich.
Waiting it out.
That was pretty funny because he said that he, growing up, his mom would never give him peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on Wonder Bread, but his caddy's wife would let him have them. I just thought that was a funny
He is
tidbit.
one of the most relatable guys.
Did you see the tweet this morning?
I did, on the plane.
He went to Chili's. His wife booked him a flight, and he was just in coach.
And he was upset because they were they're out of chicken tendies.
Yeah, I was devastated.
His day was ruined.
He won $327,000, and his wife booked him a flight on coach coming home.
Yeah,
B-23.
He's got a check for $300,000 in his pocket, and he's worried that they were out of chicken tenders at Chili's.
That's great.
I mean,
he's the gift.
It's relatable. But the weather, it was crazy. We also see some stuff that we don't normally get to see. Like you see Joel Damon, he had sweatpants under his pants.
Yeah, I saw that. Look, not tights, not long johns, just actual sweatpants.
He looks like he got off his couch after being a week on his couch and just put his golf pants.
I might try that move one
top
day.
of him.
He needs some I don't know if he's a FootJoy guy, but he needs some of those FootJoy base layers.
Yeah, I don't think he is, but I'm sure he has them.
Let me tell you something. No bigger savior than throwing a little bit of like those, what do you call it underneath, those thermal layers.
Thermals are great.
But
hats off to the grounds crew, right?
hats off to them.
Wow.
They got this place back in order so quickly. The before and afters of TPC Sawgrass. I mean, we're looking at some of the pictures now. If you're watching the podcast, you see it. In a matter of 2 hours, they had all of the standing water gone, and there was standing water everywhere, which I found incredible. I saw one tweet. Somebody was saying like, "Yeah, move the players to March." They said it'll be fun. They said,
Yeah.
you know, you got that. You know, February in Florida, it could be very unpredictable. We had rain. We had 30 degrees at one point. It was cold. But there's one thing I'll say, and I thought of this so many times as I'm watching it. I've watched the players now at TPC Sawgrass for many, many years. I don't ever remember, like strikingly so, I don't ever remember that course being in as pristine a shape as we saw it.
It looked amazing.
It was like Willy Wonka. Like,
It really
It was
did.
like Candyland for golfers.
Seeing those drone shots from the air, the way they cut that grass, the green of that
Incredible.
grass. I mean, it was just amazing. I mean, look at the difference there, 82 versus 22.
Just
beautiful.
incredible with the amount of work that has to go into a place. I saw some drone flyovers, like you were saying, the FPV, and you see how many guys are out there tending to the place.
Yep.
But between the grass, the bunkers were perfect and pristine. None of those bunkers had any standing water by the time they resumed play. The rough, though, I also never remember the rough being that grown in. It was like U.S. Open style.
Guys couldn't even get out of it. And then how about DJ? Lost the ball.
Lost the ball.
This was an interesting story.
I've never seen this before.
So what does it say here? I've never ever thought about doing that in my career. Is our DJ bringing in dozens of fans under the ropes to help him successfully find his ball. It's pretty wild.
I mean, that's cool. That's a DJ move right there.
Yeah.
He had the fans come in and help him find the ball.
It's great. That's how buried.
Yeah. And look, we've all experienced that frustration. You know, you hit a ball just off the fairway into a rough and you can't find it. Oh, it's the worst.
It's the worst. But you know what? I think if you have a prize purse of that big and a tournament of this caliber, the PGA Tour's flagship event, I feel like it should have conditions like this, just like the U.S. Open.
I do like
I like it. These guys are going to go over to the Valspar this week, and we're going to talk about that in a second.
It
Go
goes
to a
back to
Copperhead.
17. Make it difficult.
Yeah,
Let it be
exactly.
difficult. Let these guys struggle.
Right.
We want to see who. I heard it during the broadcast. At one point, it was said that, look, whoever wins this thing deserves every bit of it. Because they're all playing, as you said, the same conditions. They're going to come out there. And ultimately, it was Cam Smith with yet another impressive win.
Yeah, it was night and day for him and all these guys between the Saturday round and then the Monday round. I mean, JT shot 9 under.
Yeah.
You know,
I thought JT was my pick last week. You heard me say it on the
Yep.
podcast. I kept thinking like I'm going to get this one.
I thought the same thing with Danny Berger.
Yeah.
But
But ultimately, Cam Smith comes home with that $3 million payday. It's his 7th overall win. It's his 5th win on the PGA Tour. 2 of those were team wins. Zurich, he won the Zurich twice as team wins.
That's
But
his home
still,
course.
not to take anything away. And he loves Hawaii. You know, he won the Century and he won the Sony in Hawaii. But we've seen him knock on the door. The Masters in 2018, his tied for 5th. He's been in there, you know, he tied for 2nd in 2020 and tied for 10th in 2021.
Yeah.
Which makes me think heading into Augusta in just 3 short weeks or so, in form that you just won the Players, you know, keep an eye on this.
yeah,
kid.
he's a favorite for sure.
Keep an eye
Definitely
on
the top 5 to win it. You'll see his odds improve if they have not already for that.